Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So while we wait for the time, for your information, the session that we had on IP rights, at least statistically, has been the most viewed of the video conference that we have had, that are more than 65, if I am right, okay? And that video conference has been the most reviewed statistically. So this is a topic of high interest. It's very, very clear. And today we have with us Annalisa Tesarolo from DigiGrow that will speak about the clearinghouse on medical equipment. Welcome, everybody. Annalisa, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Gracias, Antonio. Good morning to everybody, and thank you for the invitation. I'm really pleased to finally take part to one of these very famous meetings. I have to say that colleagues have been very positive about this discussions that you're having, so I'm really glad that I get to be involved in one of your exchanges and presenting the activities of the clearinghouse. So thank you very much for the opportunity. So the clearinghouse for medical equipment related to COVID-19 was created in the month of April in the peak of the crisis related to the coronavirus situation, and has a composite mandate. The mandate encompasses various aspects. It aims at getting basically an overview of the essential needs of the medical equipment across member states in Europe, but it also aims at facilitating and making it easier to match the supply and the demand of medical equipment at EU level. Medical equipment to be intended in the broader sense, so from personal protective equipment to medical devices to medicines and therapeutics and testing kits. The clearinghouse also offers support to member states, but also to other stakeholders, of course, industry associations and companies directly, when it comes to identifying and dealing with bottlenecks in the supply chain, which is something that, of course, as you know now, supply chains are quite fragile and disruptions happen very frequently and easily, and therefore this is also somewhere where we're trying to help, for example, providing technical or regulatory assistance. And then there is also, of course, the activity that we have been conducted until yesterday, because then yesterday was the last day of the relevant regulation for the export authorization. So we were regularly consulted by member states on the export authorizations request. The teams of the clearinghouse are organized as follows. There is a coordination team with the head of the clearinghouse, who is Peter Wagner. And the operational structure, let's say, of the clearinghouse is organized in 5 product clusters. They are called product clusters. So one is personal protective equipment. Then we have ventilators, other medical devices and hospital supplies, test materials, and then therapeutics and vaccines, as I was mentioning also before. The teams are quite diverse, and the aim is, of course, to provide the best and most specific competence and expertise that can be found in Commission services. So this is why the teams have different services inside. The core team is always represented by GROW and Santé colleagues for for reasons that you easily understand, because of course there is an industrial angle and economic angle from the side of the supply chains, but if the angle, the health angle, is of course pivotal and key as well. But as I mentioned, we also tackle other aspects. So we have colleagues that come from DG Trade when it comes to third countries and trade issues, but also colleagues from the JRC, particularly from the JRC in Italy, in ISPRA, who are helping more on the analysis and estimations aspects, but also we have colleagues from DG Competition and DG Eco. I think it's also important to underline what the clearinghouse is not doing. The clearinghouse is not aiming to replace the work that is done by the various directorate generals of the Commission in their area of competence and responsibility. And the clearinghouse is also not building parallel processes to structures that are already existing, such the RescEU, for example, but rather trying to complementing it in a strategic manner. The clearinghouse is also not procuring, nor is it organizing joint procurement. The joint procurement procedure is completely dealt with by the colleagues in DG Santé. And also the clearinghouse is not directly taking in charge the matching of demand and supply, but rather providing support, the tools and the information to facilitate it and to support both sides, so the supply side with the commercial offers from the companies, but also the demand side from the member states. What we have done most recently is that we have taken a tool, a platform that was already existing, which is called the Santé Data Collection Platform. I will of course send you all the links and the information via email through Antonio. So as I was saying, we have expanded the scope of this platform, and we have built two blocks, let's say. One block where the member states can encode their requests on needs for medical equipment along the 5 categories that I mentioned before when I was speaking about the kind of products that we cover. And another block that was recently revamped. So now companies have the possibility to directly access this platform and encode commercial offers for medical equipment. So there is a quite easy form to fill, and there is of course a contact point in case of questions. But what I would like to stress is that the clearinghouse, as I said, is not matching the offers. What we are offering is just the platform, is just the tool, and it's then up to member states to reach out to the companies that have encoded their offers in the platform, in the tool, in case they find it interesting for their specific needs or for their specific demands, let's say. So this is a functionality of the platform that was launched just a little bit more than a week ago, and we have already seen some good degree of success in terms of encoding from companies, and it has given also a certain order and structure to the process of the meeting between supply and demand, because of course in the early days of the crisis, one of the main aspects was trying to provide a certain order, certain methodology to the quite overwhelming, I have to say, help and support and mobilization from the side of industry that we have received. So this has also helped. We're fully aware that there are various tools of this kind across Europe, both at national level and at regional level. I know that Italy has a platform for the different regions. I know that Belgium has done one with the EEN. Bulgaria has done one where they are collecting all the information for entrepreneurs, all the links on how to support certification processes. So this is something that is once, as I said, the activity of the clearinghouse is complementing efforts that are already ongoing. Another point that I wanted to stress is that we are trying to maintain an open dialogue with member states. We're having meetings with member states, but we are also exchanging quite frequently and in a positive manner with industry directly, but also with industry associations, trying to understand what are the main issues and how we can help in the way forward, and if we can be strategic in the unwanted but possible hypothesis of a second wave of the infections in the autumn. So this is the first overview that I wanted to provide. I will circulate the information, as I said, and the relevant links that can be of help to you and for more information, but I am of course open to questions, because I'm sure that I have not covered all the questions that you may have. So the floor is back to you, Antonio, and I'm happy to reply to any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Annalisa. Wonderful. Congratulations for your work, for all the team. I have been exploring your website with my share screen, so we have been able to go into the internal area, okay, and I am seeing the quick user guide and even the list of categories. So I'm sure that there are a lot of questions from the attendants. Who is the first? Questions, comments? I have one, Annalisa. So I understand that this tool, this matchmaking tool, will be open at least until the introduction of working vaccine. The idea is to maintain it during this year.
Yes, the tool doesn't have a deadline, let's say an expiration date. I believe that at a certain point, what we all hope is that the supply chain will go back to pseudo-normal, hopefully, and therefore these support measures will not be so necessary, but we have put it in place as long as it's needed. We are not thinking of putting it in place with an expiration date, let's say, as long as it's needed and as long as we see that members are voting their requests for their needs, and that companies are still encoding their offers for their commercial offers. We see the need for it to be still in place, and as long as it's needed, it's going to be there, absolutely.
Thank you. More comments or questions?
Antonio, can I make a question very, very quick? Do you think that this experience you have been doing can be also promoted and disseminated in other countries so that we can have a better response from the system to the needs of the people when they are ill?
You mean the experience that we're having in facing the challenges of supply and demand?
Yes, that's right.
Yes. I do believe that what we have seen in the last months has been a learning experience for all, and as I said, it hopefully will teach us to be better prepared in case there is a second wave, and in any case to restore the functioning of the economy. And what we have seen is that in this phase, but especially in what we would call the exit or recovery phase, all actors play a role. And in fact, apart from your questions, I also have my questions of where you see the role of clusters and cluster organizations in the support of the in the recovery phase and getting out of the acute crisis period, let's say. But definitely what we have been experiencing has taught us many things. Of course, with the focus, product focus on medical equipment, this is obvious because this is what we are dealing with at the moment. But it has taught us a lot on the dependency that we have in Europe on certain categories of products, on certain supply chains, be it from the raw material side, be it from the machinery side, be it from the final product. I think we have gathered a lot of intelligence on where the weak points, if you want to call them like that, where, of course, weak points when it comes to a massive crisis like the one that we dealt, because the supply chain was working in a certain manner for a series of reasons, and it was working. But then when you are coming in a situation where you have massive needs of millions and millions of products needed for professional health professionals or for the population, of course, this is a disruption of what normally happens, and it tests how the supply chain works, and it shows and brings to surface the how can you call them, black holes, or the fragilities of the supply chain. But I believe that it has also provided an opportunity to explore new ways forward. There are a lot of research projects ongoing. There are very interesting projects under the EIT, the rapid response projects that are focusing on a more research angle on how to reuse masks, how to disinfect through alternative filters, how to use new materials to create protective garments. So as always, the crisis has brought to light the fragilities I was saying, and the critical aspects of the supply chain, but it's also opened up to a lot of opportunities. And of course, you know it better than me that a lot of companies have turned to industrial reconversion in this phase, and we have seen quite an impressive level of flexibility in terms of the production capacity of European companies. I think this was a very encouraging element if we want to look at the positive.
Thank you. More questions? Comments? I have another one. Sorry, Annalisa.
No, go ahead, Antonio.
Could you highlight where do we have the main problems now? Because I suppose that
well,
now.
Yep. Let's say that one challenge I can be open, I think, and the challenge for us is really being having a clear view of the demand side, in the sense that situations across member states were quite different. There were some situations that had similarities. If I think about Spain and Italy, for example, they were quite hardly hit. But even there, countries with a strong regional character, like, of course, I'm Italian, I know very well the Italian situation, but Italy is a perfect example where some regions were really badly hit and others were less in a difficult situation. So that the strong imbalance in terms of the geographical distribution of the crisis was not an easy element to deal with. Of course, with the situation of the gradual lifting of the confinement measures, face protection is something that is in the first line, let's say, in terms of needs that we see. The ventilators is much trickier. It's a much trickier situation because the supply chain is quite complex. The producers of the final products are not the producers of the accessories and components, where we may see more difficulties at the moment, for example, in the accessories and components. And of course, there are a lot of IP-related issues on ventilators that may make it more difficult to ramp up production, and also the complexity of the device, the fact that normally it takes you 1 year to certify a ventilator, but now we cannot deal with this kind of timing. And there have been a degree of alternative devices that have been put in certain markets, but we have also seen some that did not end so well in certain member states. So I believe that we really have to be cautious in striking the right balance between the urgency to ramp up or diversify production and the need to keep on ensuring safety of consumers and of patients, and always keeping the focus on CE marked products. We have seen the proliferation of non-CE marked products now. There were some derogations that were allowed. The Commission published recommendations and guidelines, both on personal protective equipment back in March. There was a guidance on ventilators later on in early May, if I'm not wrong. But I can, of course, provide all this to you if needed. So there is a certain degree of flexibility in the face of urgency, but this should not be the normal chemin, let's say, the normal path that should be explored. So I guess that the difficulty there is, as I said, keeping the balance between providing protection and the medical equipment that is needed in Europe for health professionals and for the wider public where needed, but also ensuring that the market is not flooded by products that are not in line with the regulatory requirements, and that this does not become the new normal, let's say.
Very difficult equilibrium.
Yes.
Comments, questions? What about the sticks for the taking the texting? Sorry, I don't know in English.
The swabs.
Yeah.
The swabs, yes. Yeah, this is also something that is coming up as a subject of interest more and more, because of course with the, as I said, also with the deconfinement, testing is increasing more and more, and this is more related to the plastics industry. But definitely testing is another subject that is very much of interest for us, also for the member states, I must say. So we see that the needs, of course, follow the curve of the crisis of the infections. Now that we are trying to get back to having a semi-normal rhythm of activities in the economy and so on and so forth, the testing is becoming increasingly important. In the peak of the crisis, of course, ventilators were the hot topic. But what I would like to stress is that the need has emerged to think strategically and to have a strategic approach of preparedness. So as I was saying earlier, we have seen that it is important to develop, of course, member states have different approaches. Some of them, for example, had stockpiling strategies already before the crisis. Some didn't. But it is important to, in any case, be prepared and think strategically in how we can deal with a second peak, because the fact that now there is a sort of normal situation about ventilators doesn't mean that this will be the case in October or November, should there be another peak combined with the normal flu, for example. So there, one could also think of how can we take it from another angle, so decrease the need for ventilators rather than increasing the production of ventilators. How can we approach, for example, the idea of diminishing the need of intensive care beds in hospitals through therapeutics, through home care, for example. So there are there's a different range and wide range of ideas that are coming up now, and this is the moment to think. And I think your discussions are very precious, because this type of intellectual exercise has to be done now and not when the second crisis comes. Hopefully we don't want it to come, but if it does, we don't want to have again the situation where we have to rush. So ideas, proposals, strategies, and cooperation that are ongoing, this is the moment to make them come up to surface and bring them to our attention. So I understand that maybe this topic is a bit out of the box compared to what your usual discussions are, but the fact that I am speaking now and then close the conversation doesn't mean that you cannot reach out to me for questions, or to the colleagues of the clearinghouse. As I said, the fact that we have a diverse composition of expertise with colleagues from different services is also very usual when it comes to dealing with stakeholder requests and support the stakeholders. So we're very open in this sense. We have been, I can say that without any shred of doubt, we have been very open. We have had calls with the actors from the community, from the industrial community in the wider sense, with industry associations. And so I believe that if there is a will to cooperate and to bring to our attention certain projects and solutions, that you are definitely bringing up solution. I was amazed by the 3D exercise that was carried out at the beginning of the crisis. So I believe that if not in this specific conversation that we are having now, later on, you can reach out to me and we can have a conversation on specific ideas or projects.
That's excellent. We will launch. We have received a lot of suggestions on specific projects and solutions, but we will launch a survey, I think today or tomorrow, for all the, not only cluster, but cluster member, whoever could be interested, just looking for this kind of solutions. So it's totally in the box, not out of the box, and it's part of our main challenge, I understand, to help you. Okay, so thank you.
Can I ask a bit more about this survey? What is the purpose, the scope of the survey?
Yeah, the question is the actual challenge for this group, because we have been evolving. At the beginning, we were very focused on what you are speaking about today. We were totally focused during the next first 5-6 weeks on precisely on covering the problems with the mask, the respirator, and so on. Okay. Now we are thinking about also not only about the main challenges for the recovery of the industry and helping the go back to work, and also try to help on the possible solution, or avoid the problems that we could have if there is a rebound. Okay, there is a rebound. The questionnaire will be about the main disruptions that we are suffering now, okay, and how to solve them if possible. But now we are analyzing the main disruptions, and Marek could explain you perfectly, because he is a part of the heart of this search. Okay, Marek Barrevilla are at the heart of everything. I don't know if Marek wants to comment or we could.
Yes, it is possible to add something. My name is Flaviana Rotaru. I'm coordinator of Romanian Health Cluster, but also of all Romanian Health Cluster Network. And I have one suggestion related to the solution that have been placed in the market. Probably in each country, besides the EU initiatives, a lot of money were allocated for research and product development under the health domain. This is the case of Romania, where we had tenders, we had the financing and so on. I think it will be great if all these new products that have been placed in the Romanian market or other local markets are gathered somewhere together, you know, like we don't want to double financing and we don't want to double ideas. In the same time, you know that there was EIT call for e-health solutions for COVID. Again, a lot of great ideas that have been financed. And all this knowledge that has been gathered together via different funding should be found somewhere where everybody will have access. Because
like a mapping, you mean?
Sorry?
Like a mapping of the instruments that were developed during
the initiatives that already are founded. Like we have national funds, we have structural funds that already cover this. And I would go for sustainability this time, because there is a lot of other parts of the health system suffered because of COVID, because they were not, we don't give them any attention now. A lot of chronic disease that are actually, the patients with chronic disease were actually neglected in this period because of COVID. And all of this changed a bit the system of, at least in our country, not a bit, a lot, the system in Romania. But my main concern is that we focus on COVID and we forgot that health is not only about COVID, it's about prevention, it's about targeted therapy. And this is, I mean, like a cluster. I'm much more interested not in COVID today. If we look at what OMS says, will not be the second wave, or maybe will be another wave of whatever will be called in 2 years. But if we don't focus on sustainability, we'll be in the same situation also after 2 years. So my proposal is at least to map what have been done in each country, because of non-flying and without meetings, we don't know. I, for example, somehow I know because I evaluate EET projects and I know what some Italians have done from the project. But in the meantime, I would really like to know the follow-up. Was this product placed in the market? Also for our project, our financing, it is in the market. I don't know what kind of ventilator. What were the problems to set it in the market? We have to learn from this experience, and learning is not creating always new solution, just improving what happened. This is all.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I see your point. It's basically trying to rationalize what is already on the in place. The instruments are already in place and not duplicating, as you say rightly. This is why I try to stress that what we're trying to do is complementary to what is already existing. But I definitely agree with you that we are seeing an ocean of initiatives, and this is of course very positive when there is the emergency and the peak. But then, as you rightly say, there needs to be order and methodology in the way that we bring things forward, and not just finance projects that last for the duration of the crisis, and then what do we do with the solutions that were developed during the crisis. So I fully agree with you that there should be a certain degree. It's not easy because, of course, at a national level there was a plethora of solutions that came up and that were developed, but there should be at least the possibility to have some overview and to, as you rightly say, not disperse the resources that were put in finding solutions in the peak of the crisis. So yeah. You can give my email address. I don't know if you have a message box or of what in the GoToMeeting, but for anybody that wants to bring some attention, focusing on projects or whatever, please send me via email, and we can have an exchange of that, because I'm sure that many of you, as the Romanian colleagues was saying, I would be very interested to know what has been done by the Romanian Health Cluster and by the other colleagues that are in the call. So please don't hesitate. It would be very interesting for me. Antonio, do you hear me?
We do not hear you, Antonio.
Sorry. I didn't. Yeah, I was with my mic off. So I was. Thank you, Flaviana. Because your suggestion is very interesting to have some kind of common platform just to know about the solution that has been funded and how have they evolved, and not to reinvent the wheel every time. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
More comments, more questions.
I have another one, which is totally different. I want to ask you your experience related to authorization of this product in the market, because in our country there is no notified body, and we had quite a challenge related to who's going to approve what the market produced, and how these entities who adopt products from the medical market can have common procedures, common goals, and despite that the product is accepted, let's say in the German market, doesn't mean immediately that it's accepted also in the, I don't know, Swedish one, also in the Romanian one. And since we are dealing with clusters, I think our role is also to bring policies issues in front of the Commission and to suggest, because from this point of view, it's quite a burden when you have a very innovative product and you actually travel with it like 2 years all around Europe just to set it in the market. Since it's a European market, the fact that it's approved in Germany should be enough to be set in the market in Romania or in Bulgaria or vice versa. And for this, there should be like the law alignment, the bodies alignment, and all of this. And if we want to focus on the future, since the EC regulation was postponed 1 year, probably you know that even the softwares need now clinical studies. Some softwares, yeah, e-health products need clinical studies behind. And they won another year because of the COVID, but this means that after 1 year we are in the same situation. And also for some medical devices, different classes, I think it will be very important in 1 year to have clear explanation of what's going on. Otherwise, our clients from the cluster will pay, as they do now in different countries, the same thing. So this is another thing for the future, for the sustainability of health cluster, of their innovation products and so on. And now I'm done, really.
No, it's please. I mean, I'm here. My active role was limited 15 minutes. Then I'm here to listen, and of course, I don't expect that I'm able to provide all the technical input that you may need. But this is, I'm also a relay. I mean, what I mean is that I can put you in contact with the right colleague that can give you the technical assessment that you need. But I know it's not my domain, certification procedure and so on. But I know for sure that also from the side of member states, we have heard that one of the main issues at the moment is the lack of capacity of notified bodies. this was something that actually what we heard is that the problem was already existing before COVID, and COVID just made it worse. And as you said, this reflected differently in different member states, of course. The capacity is different. I know the colleagues in DG Grow are trying to have a deeper understanding of this, and I wouldn't say a mapping, but to see what is the capacity across Europe. But I find your comment matching absolutely the reality of the situation from what we have heard, not just from companies, but also from the authorities at national level. So it's definitely something that has come, as I was saying before, problems that were already existing were exacerbated by the crisis, and the notified bodies aspect was one of the problems. But of course, we try to facilitate the Commission tried to facilitate with some easier procedure, faster procedures, which I was mentioning before with the recommendation of the 30th of March. You know that also the European Standardization Organization made some standards freely available. So there were some efforts, common efforts, but the problem is quite structural. I would say the capacity of the notified bodies is a structural problem because it was pre-existing. So it became worse, but I fully agree with you that this is a key aspect, because we cannot ask companies for solutions and then they don't find a speedy way, a speedy procedure to put the solutions on the market. Always keeping in mind what I said before, that safety is the first and foremost thing. But companies have the interest, in any case, serious companies have the interest of putting safe products on the market themselves. So I believe this is an aspect that should be further investigated. So thanks for the point, because it confirms something that we were already sensing also from the member states.
This topic has arisen frequently in these sessions. Yeah. And I don't know, because I'm not really expert on notified bodies, okay, for sure. But more than one of the points, why, if the German government enables or authorize a model, why not to automatically accept it in the rest of Europe? That's the main point, because the problem now is that there is no cross validation between different countries, as far as I know.
Well, this is our question. Also, why a product accepted in an EU member is not accepted automatically in all EU members? Because a governance model allows this. And also the conditions for notified body, if I really studied this subject for the last 2 years, became much more strict and look like a very close club. If you look for a notified body, you need like 21 experts hired. I mean, if you really want to do a notified body, Germany has 9, Italy has 9. I mean, there are countries with a lot of notified body and countries with none. And the answer is we don't have one, because the conditions imposed are so high to keep like an army of people, of experts, hired on the daily basis, regardless of type of the product, just to be an authorized notified body by the European Commission. And this is, if we look from the business perspective, even if it's a state notified or a private, because you can be both ways, it's not paying off, because you don't know what type of product will come on your gate. So this is the first thing that I see, like over, okay, notified body is accepted by the EC, but the EC also should not force the countries to spend resources for something that is not, you cannot have a forced class, like we come like 10 products, I don't know what class. Normally you should hire the expert to evaluate the product when the product comes. And this is the first barrier why some countries don't have at all, especially if they are not very strong on this authorization. The second one is on the other countries are like 9, but you have to translate all the documentation from one language to the other. losing, of course, some technical particularities. And the time you lose till you set in the market, it's from 3 to 2 years for one product, depending on the product, the class they are dealing. Also, another issue is with the clinical studies. For this, I know that EC already solved that a clinical study done in Europe is valid all over the country, because some countries we wait 3 or 5 years. However, since it's not clear, EC directive saying that it automatically accepted, it comes a local authorization, which actually we don't need it. Nobody needs to be again authorized at the local level for setting a product, since the product was accepted in the EU market. So this governance, the part of governance actually is what we are missing, overall picture.
Okay. And adding to what Flaviana just said, I would say it would be much more exempt from special interests if it was centralized, because in a centralized way, Europe does not favor this country, that country, or any other special interest.
I doubt that China has this kind of problems. And so we are probably decreasing our capacity to compete.
And the US, they have FDA, and that's for all the states.
Yeah, and it's working very fast comparing with what's going on in EU member states. And if you know, for China, a clinical study made in China will not be valid in Europe, because clinical studies means also DNA, and different races means different results for the same product. So it's very important. The target group, you cannot accept a China clinical study made in China in Europe. It can be very, very risky. That's why all the China products should be also assessed in the Caucasian, value before to be set, because there are DNA diseases that are coming with our structure. So,
thank you.
But for certain profiles, you can move it also from China to Europe and back, but very rare, very rare.
So this is a very, very hot topic, very important.
Yeah. No, I know, but this is why I think it's important that we are having this conversation today, because maybe, as I said, I'm not a notified bodies expert, and but I know the person that could help, the colleague that could help. So if you have specific questions, I mean, the channel for dialogue and for clarifications is open. So I reiterate the availability from our. I mean, the clearinghouse is also doing this, is also connecting different dots in terms of expertise. So we're happy to help and directing questions to the right EC service.
But more than question, I think that at this moment there is a suggestion.
No, question or any comment also be comment or suggestions for improvement and any type of observation that you may have. But in general, I think that it's good that you point this out. As I said, it's something that I know that is an issue, that colleagues are looking into this. But your direct experience is, of course, something that is very precious to have the experience on the ground and the real concrete issues that you are facing.
So, for example, if we have a rebound, it will be very, very good to have in place some kind of exceptional regulation in order to allow that one approval on one country could be generalized for the rest immediately.
Antonio, can I speak? Elena here. We already have in Europe for medicines the central authorization for introduction in market. So it would be very interesting if we can place the similar structure for medical devices, because we would have one central authorization, and in that case, it would be available for all member states.
So we have a reference just for medications.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It is for medication. However, even for this, for some combination of medication, for example, if you have implantable, like devices that give also medication and are inside of the body, you are not automatically accepted, because if you combine, you're already not in the pharma database. So it goes only for pure medication, not for combined. And the future is combined devices that give you enough, I don't know what, medicine implanted in your body. So yes, we need a common database for medical devices, which are actually devices, not pharma.
Yes, yes, that is true.
Antonio, can I also add something?
For sure, Joko. Welcome. Long time no see you.
Yeah, long time. I can explain. It has to do with the notified bodies blues. So it would be a song which is quite demotivating. I spent a lot of time on trying to set up an alternative system, as I have shared also with you, which doesn't work because I cannot speak with the notified body. So it's just stopping there. At the same time, I have first experience with getting a mouth mask, so respirators, FFP2 certified. And in my experience, it's still a terrible thing. It's so I'm in Belgium. We ended up in Germany on the lowest stack of the pile in the queue, just for emergency certification, and for full certification, so which is valid after 1 year, we have to go to BSI in England. And England, for BSI certification, you need to have a registered address in the UK. So there's a lot of things wrong, and this needs to be improved. That's all I can share with you right now. And from my point of view, there's a lot of plans. And I think if you talk about experts, most of these experts are also liaised at least with universities. So I think there's a lot of solutions there. But as long as it's not being approved, we're in a catch-22.
Thank you very much.
And now the situation is that actually it's a black market of consultants that try to find which notified body, how we're gonna work with, and it's not okay. I mean, we have to solve this. It's really a priority.
Definitely.
It's a priority.
It's one of the disruptions.
Sorry.
No, I was just commenting, Antonio, that in fact it's one of the different phases of the disruptions that we see, with the fact that then there are consultants coming up and trying to fish for free spots in notified bodies for certifications and so on. So it's very useful in any case, the information that you're giving me.
Yeah, I think that is clearly a big disruption in this case in policy making. Yeah. Regulation, or how you want, whatever you want to. But it's true that we have not been able to speak with those with office at the European level, because it has no results. More comments.
Well, I was
Sorry, Annalisa.
No, I was saying that I will report back, of course, to the colleagues on this specific issue. So I think it's important that I raise the point that also from your side, that this is because it's coming from different sources. So it's further confirmation of what we already heard. It's important that they have this information, and of course I can give Antonio, I can give your contact in case it's needed for them to reach out to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Annalisa. More contributions, please. We have here very good experts, I know. I would like to hear other opinions, other comments, other points. Ariana Flores from Bioindustry Park. Will you comment? What is your point of view? No? I know that we have also Davide Follador. Welcome, Davide. I see also Elisabetta Docena. No? Okay. So, tomorrow we will speak also about health. We will go deeper, not just in the health as ecosystem, and to explore where are the disruption, not on procedures but on the industry. Okay, that's important to say because we will have time again to discuss about possible problems, needs in the market and possible solution also. Okay, but today it is about the clearinghouse. I think that the initiative is excellent. I have a doubt, Annalisa. As far as I understand, the companies are able to offer their products there. Okay, but
yes, exactly.
Is anybody willing to buy also able to look for the offers, or just the public authorities or public buyers?
Just the public authorities. It's not. You can only, as a company, you can encode your commercial offer, but you cannot monitor, let's say, what is being uploaded on the platform. You cannot see what the member states are encoding.
Yeah, that was the question. The public authorities for all across Europe, I understand.
Yes,
from the hospitals and.
It's normally, it depends. It depends on each member state. Sometimes it's the regional authority, the regional health authority that does it. Sometimes it's the centralized health authority, so the ministry. It's a bit depending on how each member state has organized its health system, of course. But it can be at different levels.
That's important because in Spain we don't have Ramon here today, but in Spain we have organized something at our level, similar from the clusters, and we are receiving quite a lot of questions from public buyers on the database that we have created of companies offering solutions. Okay.
Could you share with me this link to your database?
Yes, for sure. We will do that. And the main clients are the public buyers by region. And I wanted to know if we could provide them with info. Probably they know, okay, but I want to be sure.
They know for sure because I know that the Spanish contact point from the health ministry is participating to the discussion. So I know that they are aware, but then it also depends on the level of internal communication between the different services of the national authorities.
Yeah, yes, because this information needs to reach the regional level.
Exactly.
On the public budget by regions. Yeah, that was.
And sometimes we see that the colleagues from the same member states are not aware of what has been discussed with other offices of the member states, the same member states. So sometimes it's also really a matter of reaching out to the right colleague and putting themselves in contact. Sometimes it's not evident, especially for big member states.
Thank you. Okay, 2 minutes to close. You see in the screen the post that we have created in the ECCP Forum for today's session. You are invited to contribute, to put there your comments or your questions and to share, to continue the dialogue there, okay? We have time for one last comment or fast question. If not, we are going to close. But before closing, I would like to let you know that there is a call for projects, proposals about medical devices, also for the study of the consequences on the population and the social and mental consequences of the COVID measures, anti-COVID measures, sorry. And so for you to know that there are some consortia that has been or are being developed through clusters. If you are interested, please contact me and I can help you to put in contact with some of those consortia. Okay, we are promoting the presence of clusters and those calls. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Grazie mille, Annalisa.
Gracias. Gracias a ti. Thank you to all. Thanks very much.
We continue working. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.